Hey YouTube, what's going on? I got a taper fade coming up for you guys, so stay tuned. Listen, I've been working on videos, editing left and right, putting stuff out. I still got plenty of stuff to come. So as I said, just stick with me, man. But as you guys see, we're getting the hair fully saturated and we're getting ready to divide the hair up into quadrants. That's parts of 4. And it just simplifies and makes everything a little easier. But what I'm talking about that, listen, I know there are a lot of barbers who do not cut different types of hair. You know, you got some barbers, they don't cut coarse hair. Some barbers, they don't cut more fine or straight hair. I try to be a barber who cut all textures of hair. It just makes more sense to me as far as financially. And I'm also the type of person I like a challenge, and I like to be versatile. That's one of my biggest things. I like to be versatile. But as you see, we starting our first parts off, parting the very top from the sides in the parietal ridge area, and then we'll go to the crown and part from the crown to the ear, to the top of the ear, and that's going to help us make 4 sections, quadrants. And of course, keeping the hair saturated is going to help the hair stay neat as you part it. It's going to help your part stay neat. You know, clip the sides up that you're not going to use. I part down the middle in the very back to start my initial guideline. And what I'll do is I'll start my vertical guideline and then I'll cross-reference it horizontally to start a horizontal guideline. He didn't want a lot off. And I actually think that next time I'm going to try to convince him, especially since it's getting hotter, to cut a little bit more off. The guys, they like the long hair, and who am I to complain? And as I was once taught, when it comes to straight hair and you're cutting it, just imagine the person was electrocuted and his hair was made to stand straight, as if it was an afro. And so when you're cutting straight hair, it's good to keep that in mind when it comes to shaping the hair with different shear texture. Here you see me cross-reference it with the horizontal guideline, and what I'll do is use that guideline to finish up the hair in the back. And I'm just connecting everything. Later on, you'll see me take these guidelines and reference them to the sides and the top. Now, as you see me work my way down, I don't care as much about the lower part of the occipital area because I'm going to come back in with my clippers and do a fade in that area. So for me, the lower part don't matter as much. And that's also in the taper area too, the temple area. I'll taper that out, I'll fade it out. I'm fading the temple and the occipital areas out. There is a slight angle on the way that I'm cutting his hair. So as I go down lower, I actually taper off as well. Because when his hair dries, we want to have that flare at the top and be tapered at the bottom. So I'm just assisting myself with the shears the same way I would with clippers. And as you see, as I pull the hair from the position that I'm in, it's good to position your hair that you can see the actual differentiation in the length of the hair. So basically you can see the difference in the length of the hair. I don't want to sound too technical. And from the positions I might be standing in, I might have to turn my hair slightly. Just angle it so you can see it basically. As you see here, I'm using that horizontal guideline from the back to connect to the sides. Keep it nice and simple. And then with that, we'll use that guideline to connect everything from the top to the bottom on the sides. Now, using that horizontal line, I create a vertical guideline. And as you see with the way my fingers are angled, as I get closer to the head, to the bottom of the head, the hair is slightly shorter. And also, once you get closer to that temple area, you also know that everything's just slightly shorter, because that's where I'm going to be tapering at. Vertical guidelines, connecting everything from horizontal guidelines to vertical guidelines. So everything I just did to the left side, I'm going to do the right side. And, one side, start to connect the back to the right. Of course, I drop my clips and connect that horizontal line, that horizontal guideline, to my right side. And I'll use that horizontal guideline that I'm referring to and do vertical bars, vertical guidelines with a slight taper. And as I always say, keep it simple. Don't make this too difficult, Now, I don't feel like I'm just the best at shear cutting, but I'm always looking to get better. Every time I do another head that requires me to do any kind of shear work, I'm trying to get better. On my off times, I'm working to get better. And that could be from practicing or researching. Researching is big to me. Once I get on those heads, I know that this is another rep. It's just another rep. And you're trying to bring everything together. You're trying to bring all your clipper work together with your shear work and your styling work, because that's what really makes a haircut. Yeah, did you cut it well, but are you styling it well also? So that clipper work in combination with the shear work and the styling work, it makes all the difference. And it's just about, first, initially, apply effort. Did you see here? I'm connected. Now, his top is always slightly longer than everything else. The top is longer than everything else. And as I said, he doesn't want a great bit of hair cut off. So I kind of just go in and trim. And this line is going to be my guideline. That's how I connect it with the back. But as I said, you gotta look at it as if the hair was standing straight up, as if he was electrocuted. And that's how you determine how you want to shape everything. Now, sometimes when you do fro cuts, or in my instance, sometimes when you do some type of fro cut, a flat top might not be the exact same height on the top as it is on the sides. Afro either. It just depends on what style you're going for. But you see me connecting. I'm connecting my lines. And then, of course, the way I cut it, I always leave that bang, that fringe area, separated from the top. And I'll come back and cut that later. Keeping everything connected. I'm checking everything. And I'll just do this from side to side. And I haven't mentioned it, but what I'm doing in this video, this style of cutting on the top is basically point cutting. Instead of making blunt, straight line cuts, I'm just kind of going in and point cutting. And that's going to add great texture at the end. As you see, I'm separating that hair. Don't get big chunks of hair in your hand. Try to be neat, try to keep it all separate. That's what I'm doing here. Getting it done, man. Getting it done. working it from front to back, side to side. You just keep your routine. That's the best thing you can do as a barber, really in any profession. Find you a good routine, stick with it, perfect it. And that's going to help you work more efficiently all around the board. You'll be better at it. You can move smoother. It just, as I said, more efficient. So let's attack this front area, this bane area, this fringe. What I do is I saturate the hair, of course, comb everything over, and just slowly start to bring pieces out. And I know some guys don't cut the banes like this. Some guys do. Just cut the front. Then I'll bring another layer of hair out. And I'll do the same thing. He wanted it just above his eyebrows. Of course, when his hair is wet, it's going to seem longer than what it is because it's saturated. So I try to cut it long enough where I know once it dries up, it's going to be at the length that he actually wants it. So you kind of got to over exaggerate when you cut. You kind of got to leave him more when it's wet and then know that, of course, when it dries up, it's going to shrink slightly, just like anybody else's hair. After that, I'm getting straight to my fade, baby. This is a number 3, and I'm raking out, and I'm bringing the comb down so I can stay at the length that I want, so I can stay at the level that I want. Raking out. And I'll come back, I'll use a 2 guard. I'll just go through the whole guard system, per usual, as needed. Of course, I'm using that 3 guard all the way around. And as you guys remember, if you remember what I said, I wasn't too worried about that bottom area when I was shear cutting because I knew I was going to come back in and taper everything out with my clippers. Of course, like any fade, well, any skin fade, we're going to come and bald it out first. Then I come back in with my clippers completely open, and I'll make my first initial line. But what I also do is I'll go back and I basically just fade down. As I go back down with those same clippers, I'm just closing it, trigger play. Come back in with my 1.5 guard, and it's open. Rake out. You start to work on that next line of demarcation. Come back in with your half guard and clean up the first guideline you made with your clippers open. And you got trigger play. Just trigger play. Keep it nice and simple. And this is something that many of you have seen barbers do over and over, as far as that fade. That 1 guard's on, the clippers are definitely completely open. There are times where you might not even have to use a 1 guard, but it helps get rid of that line of demarcation. You come back in and you pretty much do the same things. It's just about the placement of the fade. 2 guard was open. Come back in. Clippers, no guard. And everything you do on the right side, you do on the left, and vice versa. Everything you do on the left side, you do on the right. And it's just trigger play. You come back in with that 1.5 guard. The clippers are open. We'll close them per needed. Using that half guard. Just working the system, baby. So just view me rocking out. Just view me rocking out on the rest of this taper fade area. And then I'll switch up to the left side. It's going to be the same thing. It's just all about reps. Get those reps in. It's going to help you be a better barber. It's going to help you be more precise about your technique as well. Just repping, baby. So as I started to work on the left side, as you see, I got the clippers, no guard. Everything is open right now. And what I'll do is I'll come back with the 2 guard closed and kind of down fade from there using my 1.5 guard. Just kind of down fading, I guess you would call it. But it kind of keeps it simple for me. Just keeps it simple. Erase those lines of demarcation. Come back in with that 3 guard. And you raking out. Make sure you rake out. Don't panic if you see any issues, because you're going to clean everything up. That 1.5 guard. And you just use trigger play. Trigger play up and down with that trigger until you get that line erased. Stay comfortable. Stay cool. Now we're getting everything. Now it's money time. You're coming back with that holding spray to stiffen everything up. Even though the hair is slightly wet, that holding spray still does what it's supposed to do. While we wait for the holding spray to really dry and solidify, you come back in with that flat top comb and you angle it so you just getting some of those uneven spots. Just knocking out any extra lines that, still may be there. Keeping it simple. Remember, on any haircut that you do, we all have different techniques. Now, we all also have similar techniques that, just work regardless and are used across the board. But we also have go-to techniques that help us achieve a certain goal. So when you do any haircut, keep that in mind. It's not always going to be linear. It's not always going to be parallel. There will be some parallels, but everything doesn't have to be rigid. Stay free and just make magic happen. Make art. That's what it is. It's art. Now, I found that these Wall 5-star trimmers work very well with straight hair. They really do. They cut it like it's nothing. No matter how thick, how bulky the hair is, those wall trimmers that I'm using, they work so well. Wet hair, not wet, it doesn't matter. And they're slowly becoming my go-to clippers. And my go-to trimmers. The detailing phase can be one of the coolest phases. I'm still working on detailing these messy looks, but got the job done. I think it came out super, super crispy and clean. And, you go back in with those final touches. Like I said, this is the money phase. This is what really jumps that haircut off. This is what really makes it stick out. And this is what's going to bring clients back. When you make that line sharp and that fade just really stand out, guys are coming back, man. And I hit it with that Barber pencil just to make it stand out. And I'm telling you, look at it. The fade, it's there. It can't even be denied. It doesn't matter if you like certain styles, if you don't like certain barbers. When that fade hit, and you really just got to say that. And it's hitting. That's crispy. That's super clean, man. Super clean. I love it when the plan comes together. That's for sure. That's what we had. His hair is so thick. He has a nice grain of hair, man. That's what we finished with, baby. Let's go. I'm excited. I appreciate you for watching. If you stayed here this long to watch, I pray that you liked it and you already subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you show some friends. Again, it's smooth_the Barber on Instagram and TikTok. It's Iconic Phase on Facebook. And remember, stay smooth.